really that's why I started getting into life coaching, because I wanted to help people with the mindset to really build, a healthy lifestyle.
Hello, Hustle and Fit family. Welcome. I'm super excited. I have a really great guest here. I want to first off say thank you guys for tuning in. And once again, getting on your fitness journey, I want to bring you the greatest information. And I had to find somebody who really had the spirit of Hustle and Fit. And I came across Michael Lee. Now, Michael is a podcaster. He's an entrepreneur. He's a certified personal trainer. And he's also a life coach, which I want to get into that a little bit as well. But, once again, a great guest. It's going to be an awesome interview. And I wanted to introduce you guys to Michael Lee. How's it going, man?
I'm good, man. What's up, Hustle and Fit people?
Oh, man. So first question is, how did you get into this whole fitness journey? What's your story?
It's, it's funny because that's a big answer that I'm going to try to summarize in a couple seconds here. But really, as a kid, my dad was a super fit guy. We came from Vietnamese Air Force, flew helicopters in the Vietnam War. So seeing him even in his mid 30s and his 40s, this was the guy that got up in the morning and he did push-ups all the time, and that's kind of how he started his day. And I don't think it transitioned to me mentally at that point, but subconsciously you see that sort of stuff, and he's kind of living that life. And I think as I got older and started coming into adulthood, I wanted to be like that. And so in the beginning, I think I started out like a lot of us do, and you just go to the gym with a buddy and you try to do your thing, right? And and it was literally just through life, I try to bring fitness into my life. But it's funny because your motivation changes as you get older. We know as young adults, it's about, and I don't know exactly who we're talking to in terms of your audience, but it was all about going to the club and and girls and trying to get abs and all that sort of stuff, right?
Six-pack abs, yeah.
Right? It wasn't about, we didn't think about it as a lifestyle. It was more about looking good for, being a young single adult and getting out there kind of thing. So, as I started to go through life and stuff, that sort of kind of message from my father stuck with me. But then as I started to transition into different levels of my life, having children, getting married, I started to understand a little bit more that, what, I actually want to live a little bit longer too. So, and at that particular time I was really over here in Alberta, working in oil, working a 9 to 5, started getting into entrepreneurship, started my own company as a web developer back in the day, late 90s and stuff. But then eventually I started thinking about ways to potentially getting into the fitness industry as a career, right? But I also knew at that time when I started having children that I couldn't be your traditional certified personal trainer working in a gym 70 hours a week. I just couldn't do that. So, with the age of the internet and social media and everything that's happening now, it's given me an avenue, an opportunity to slowly move into personal training. So the majority of the stuff that I do now is online, but it's been great, man. I love it.
Oh, that's crazy. Actually, now that you mention that, because that's a big thing with a lot of the people that we have on Hustle and Fit. They're professionals who don't have 24 hours a day to be in the gym pumping iron. They're not they really have very little time. And I guess one of the questions I would have for you, because you were an entrepreneur that kind of transitioned, how were you fitting all this stuff in? How were you when you were first starting out, blending in being an entrepreneur, father, and how did you balance all of that stuff?
Well, man, I got 4 clones. You don't have any clones? You have clones?
You started off being a scientist and developed the clone process.
For all my middle-aged people, it's funny. Back in the day, I think it was the 80s or whatever, there was a movie called Multiplicity, and it was
I saw that.
You remember that?
We're aging ourselves right now.
Well, I always think about that movie because I'm always like, oh my gosh, I got one guy for work. I got one guy,
Oh,
for, for this so that I can go and do me kind of thing. But
oh my God. I never appreciated that movie until I became a father. So now the movie is like, And then you reminded me just now. I'm like, Nick's right. I gotta get a phone.
but no, like in all seriousness, honestly, when I started to transition to entrepreneurship, a lot of my stuff was online, which was great. And I developed it that way because I wanted to be in control of my own schedule. Right. And we all know that when you're looking to be efficient, it's the things that we actually don't think about that are taking up a ton of our time. Right. Things like travel time, schedules, like, to and from meetings, all that sort of stuff that take up a huge chunk of your day. So back in those days, when I started kind of switching over to entrepreneurship and did web design, a lot of the stuff that I was doing was online. Right. So even at that particular point, before I started thinking about fitness as being a career, I was already being very, very efficient as to how I scheduled my day, right? Like, so you got kids. So I know that, from this time to this time, I've got to be at a bus stop or whatever, grabbing kids, whatever those commitments are. But then at the same time, I know I've got some meetings that I have to go to. I can't do them virtually. So what does that look like? Well, I don't want to be driving during rush hour traffic because that's going to eat up a bunch of time. So I just started like mentally it was almost like I was mentally preparing myself for what's happening to me today. So when I started thinking about transitioning into fitness or even bringing fitness into part of my career, I took that same mentality. I was like, okay, well, like I said, I can't go work in a gym. It just, because I'm being held to somebody else's schedule and I just can't do that. I have to be in control of my own. So that's when I started thinking about, online personal training and, taking to social media to help build my brand and that sort of stuff. So then now all of a sudden, if you're allocating 12 hours a day, right, to say, family and work, it's not, 25% of that isn't travel time, right? It's another 10% going to, the end of the meeting where you got to have another meeting to talk about the meeting, and just started getting really, really more efficient and smart with my time so that I could really get the most out of that 12 hours in a day. And that's really kind of the backbone as to how I've been able to do even the things that I do today, running the podcasts, using social media, doing my online training, still doing my other company stuff, like, is really just, it's pockets of time, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's funny. I had a buddy the other day and he's actually one of my clients and he's got a Tesla and he uses his time in the car to work because he has it programmed to take him to work. So he's like, it's crazy, man.
Wow. So you find those efficiencies. That's interesting. So it's like you thought about the goal and said, listen, this is how I want my life to be. And then you basically structured all aspects of it to fit around the goal.
Absolutely. I've always told everybody from day one to build a career around your life, not a life around your career. Because unfortunately, that's what a lot of us do is, we go out there, we're looking for the big job, we go to school, a lot of the times it's kind of drilled into us from our parents, right?
Yeah.
But then you basically, you're scheduling everything in your life around that job, right? So, and for a lot of us, that's okay because sometimes we don't, at a young age, we don't have that clear vision of what we want our lives to be. You know what I mean? Like we, like I said, it's kind of drilled into us, white picket fence, wife, kids, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get a mortgage. I'm going to retire at a certain age. And then
exactly.
And I'm going to die kind of thing. Right? But like, if you have that vision, or at least somewhat of a clear vision of what you want to do and what you want your life to be, I've always told people, if you have that, if you can build a career around that lifestyle that you want for yourself and for your family, do it sooner than later, because we all know, right? Like once you bring kids into the mix and life starts to, to get a little bit more complex, it gets a little bit tougher. Your roots get deeper.
Right.
So
That's so true. I get, what's interesting talking to you, I can see where the life coaching comes in. So how did you blend? I mean, I guess it's a natural part of fitness, but how does that come in with your fitness and the life coaching and all that play in together?
that was honestly, you nailed it. That was, David, that's a huge part of it, because we know, like through the years of just being, you know, an active guy myself, like going to the gym, whether it was in my 20s chasing girls or in my 40s trying to live a little bit longer, the mind and the mindset of building fitness into your lifestyle is really, in my opinion, if I had to put a percentage to it, 75% of the battle. The actual working out part is the easy stuff.
Wow.
In my opinion, because we see people all the time, like we see the trend of what happens to people in fitness when they're trying to get into some sort of a fitness lifestyle is they're motivated by something, whether it's a New Year's resolution, a friend's getting fit, somebody wants to do something with them. And it's, for all of us, it's exciting when things are new, right? It's fun. It's, you're going to buy new clothes, gym clothes. You're going to get yourself a membership. You're going to learn all these new programs. You're going to do all this cool stuff. But what happens when it starts to feel monotonous? What happens when you're in the trenches and it's not new anymore? It's not that shiny object, right? That's where true discipline takes over. That's why I'll always tell people that discipline over motivation wins every time. Because
like
any of us can do something for 3 weeks, but to truly build it into a lifestyle, your mindset has to be there, like brushing your teeth, eating a meal, like it's just part of what you do. Excuse me. So that's when I started thinking about life coaching. Is a lot of the times when people are struggling with the physical and the fitness side of their journey or of their life, a lot of the times it goes a little bit deeper in that, right? Like it's they just can't get past a certain obstacle, or they've subconsciously built it into themselves that they know that they're going to fail in 3 months. And it's like this vicious cycle that happens year after year. So a big part of what I do is really just not just encourage and inspire people, but try to help them, really, really try to help them see this and find discipline within themselves to continue building this into a lifestyle. And that's even like letting them know that it's okay to miss a workout. Like, we're human. It happens. Like, you get some fitness trainers out there that are like, my way or the highway. If you don't do it this way, you're going to fail. And life doesn't work like that. Right?
True.
So, and helping people find ways to enjoy it. We live in a world now where there's a million ways to get fit, right? Whether it's traditional weight training, HIIT training, cardio training, athletics, walking your dog. Like, at the end of the day, it's really all about just being active. Get off the couch, get off of Netflix. You're never going to finish Netflix, so just get off.
Never going to end. It's so true. It's built like that.
So yeah, so in a nutshell, really that's why I started getting into life coaching, because I wanted to help people with the mindset to really build a healthy lifestyle, understanding nutrition and knowing that you don't have to eat cucumbers and ice chips to have a 6-pack. Like, you can actually have a beer and eat wings on the weekends. And it's just about consistency, right? So that's how it all started, my brother.
I like that, man. That's big, man. So,
Thanks.
Okay, well, I do want to get into the fitness piece of the part, because I could just go on mindset forever.
Mm-hmm.
But the question I'd have for you is, like, what would you say are some of your top tips for getting in shape? Like, what would be your top ones that you would focus on?
Honestly, the top of the list is do not overwhelm yourself.
Got
Like
it. Okay.
every time people ask me that question, they expect me to get into like the actual pieces of working out, like you know, do hit training for 30 minutes or do this or those sorts of tips. But really, like I said, the activity part is easy if you can build the discipline, right? And to build the discipline is to take it one step at a time. Because when you overwhelm yourself with anything in life, we're not just talking about fitness. When you overwhelm yourself, you end up not liking it. And naturally, if you don't like it, you're not going to do it.
Sure.
Right. So I tell people all the time, I'm like, well, what are you doing now? Nothing. Okay. Well, let's concentrate on taking a 15-minute walk 3 days a week after dinner. That's it. Let's do that. Right. Because what we're doing there is we're building the mindset around the consistency in the new routine. That's what you're building. Right. And once that becomes easy, then you add more to it. Right. And then you add more to it. So what happens there is, you know, if the analogy is you're trying to get to the other side of the river, you're taking it one stone at a time to get there. If you look to the other side of the river and you're looking at the rapids, you're like, I can't do that. Right. And, you know, the analogy and the example would be, you know, push-ups, right? I can't do 20 push-ups. All right, we'll do one. So that's honestly probably my biggest tip. My biggest tip is just walk before you run. Like take it one step at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. My second tip would be to do your research. Right. So like this is all the stuff that's really important before you even thinking about picking up a dumbbell or thinking about doing a burpee or whatever, because we know, right, as fitness people, how confusing this industry can be.
Yeah, very true.
Right.
So true.
Like if you talk to this guy, it's calisthenics. If you talk to this guy, it's, you know, 500-pound deadlift. If you talk to this guy, it's you got to be able to run 20K. Right. So you got to understand first off what you enjoy. Do your research in being efficient with your time. You don't have to work out 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? So just, and that same tip goes to the nutritional side as well, because we know it goes hand in hand, right? We, you know, so whether it's keto or, you know, low carb diets or whatever it is that's out there, educate yourself in first off what works for you, what you can realistically build into your life, right? Because I know some people that are like, there's no way I can do keto. And then there's some people that are like, that totally works for me, right? So at the end of the day, whether it's on the fitness side or on the nutritional side, whatever you choose, it's about being consistent in that choice.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So really, it's really understanding what you can stick with, and then essentially going from that point. I see that. That makes so much sense. So you don't prescribe like one plan. Like you're not like, okay, we're gonna do a keto diet or we're gonna do the carnivore diet. You're like, okay, what do you do right now? And then you're like, okay, this is what we're gonna try for you, and then try to implement it properly. Oh, that's interesting. So you really have that in the core of your philosophy, man. It really is one step at a time with everything that you're doing.
100%. Like when people come to me to build them, whether a program or they have some sort of a goal, the first thing that the first word that pops into my head up here is lifestyle. Okay. So a lot of the times clients come to me and they'll say, okay, I'm going to need time to prep because I'm going to need time to grocery shop based on the list that you gave me. And I'm like, I always like kind of rein them in. And I'm like, what do you like to eat? Okay. Because if you don't like avocados, then I'm not going to make you eat avocados 5 days a week. We'll find other healthy fats to get into you in foods that you actually enjoy, because it's all about building that lifestyle. And that's where that discipline and consistency comes in, is if we don't like what we're doing, the chances of us sticking to it are slim, right? So if we can help you design, or if I can help you design something around the things that you love, whether it's how you like to work out as well as how you like to eat, you're going to have a better chance of sticking to that.
That makes sense. So let me ask you a question. Since you're gonna hit it, you hit with a couple truth bombs before. What's something that not a lot of people know about when it comes to getting fit? Like something that people it just kind of flies on the radar that they're not aware of. Is it?
Um, the biggest thing I would say is what they see in social media. Um, and I don't know if this is a direct answer to your question, but like we live in this world right now where, you know, social media is obviously a huge influence on the things that we do. And, you know, in the fitness world, you get a ton of people putting up Transformation Tuesday pics or, you know, Throwback Thursday pics or whatever. And a lot of the times you see somebody that was maybe a little bit overweight and now is ripped and can do 500 pull-ups. But what they don't understand is the journey that went into getting there, the discipline, the failures, the hardships, picking themselves up, you know, all that sort of stuff. So don't read too much into that sort of stuff when it comes to your own fitness journey. Don't compare yourself to other people, I would say is one of the biggest things that I can give.
No, that's actually really good. That makes sense. I think they're even saying there's like a psychological. I can't remember the term, but it's like people are they're creating like a psychological thing with people going on Facebook and social media, and it's causing a bias. That's like a psychological bias because people are only posting the good life, and they're not showing the other side. So everybody who's looking at it, they're like having these like levels of depression essentially because they're all like,
Absolutely.
how come I don't have that? You know, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. You think about like, you know, like we already dated ourselves earlier in the interview, but you know, like before social media, like the traditional ways that was happening back in the day was magazines, right? Like
Yeah.
you get a girl picking up a Cosmopolitan magazine and there's this girl and she's, you know, rail thin and you know, she's a runway model and they're looking at themselves in the mirror. It's the same thing, right? It's creating that unrealistic comparison, right? And not understanding that, you know, that can have a huge negative impact on you personally. So
getting back to that mindset, so huge, such a big thing. So this is like my last question. I would want to say is so I, you know, a little bit about my story. I was like this overweight financial planner who changed his life and started to go in a totally different direction after he got fit. What would be the thing you would want people to really understand? How important is fitness when it comes to every aspect of your life? Being a father, being you know, having a career. Where does fitness really play in the overall picture?
for me, honestly, it goes back, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it comes back to discipline, because I'm a true believer as to what you do in one place of your life, you tend to do in other places of your life in terms of behaviors, in terms of kind of even like your thought process, what you do when things get hard, what you do when things don't go your way, what happens when you fail, right? So that's what I love about not just fitness, but, you know, sports, athletics, all that stuff where you're teaching yourself to be strong, right? Because if you can teach yourself to be strong when you don't get that career job that you want, or, you know, you and I being fathers, when you're up at 2:30 a.m., you know, bouncing a screaming baby on your lap, that you don't want to quit. You know, like, even though excuse me, at that particular moment, that's really what you want to do. You're looking for the punch out clock, right? Like you're like, who do I give this kid back to, right? So
I quit. Yeah, I'm done.
so that's what I love about building fitness into your life, is there's so many different parts of just that statement that you have to create action items for to really be successful at building fitness into your lifestyle. So whether it's, you know, staying on your program, you know, food, even just things like those hard times where it's like, we live in Canada, it's minus 35 degrees, and last thing you want to do is put your shoes on and go for a run or go to the gym or whatever. Like, it's really, and even when it comes to failures, right? Like when you're like, today's the day that I'm actually going to finish that AMRAP or that hit workout in less than an hour, and you don't, right? But you pick yourself up and you keep going. So, if you can build and we keep going back to mindset, if you can build that strength mentally, the physical part is easy. And I think that same sort of messaging or that same sort of mindset can be transitioned into other aspects of your life. So for me, it's like, if what you do here is what you do everywhere, whether you like it or not. If you're a messy person at a certain spot, you're going to be, if your car's messy, chances are your bedroom's messy, right? So just like things like that, like just like little things. It seems so funny, but get up in the morning, first thing I do is make my bed, even though like I don't want to do it, right? Like I don't want to do. I just want to go get a coffee and go sit and get on social media or do whatever. But I'm like, you know what? Because it's all about the discipline behind that.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, Mike, where can we find you? Like, where can people go to see what you're working on?
Well, let's see. I'm pretty active on my Instagram account, so I have a fitness account, and it's MikeFit403. So if anybody's looking for, workout ideas, I always put the family in the videos, because I really want to I really want to show people, because it's not a facade. Like that's what we do. And like we had talked about earlier in the interview, my dad kind of did that for me, and it had a huge impact on me subconsciously, and is a big part of who I am today. So I want them to understand that if they do decide or don't decide to take fitness to this level in their own lives, at least they know that there's that opportunity for them. So Mike Fit 403, you can get on there. You can see some of the stuff I do. Like you mentioned, I have a podcast that I air every Friday. It's called Shake That Funk. You can get it on iTunes, and it's literally just, that's what it's about. It's about, we all get in a funk, right? We're all human. And sometimes you just need to feel like you're having a positive conversation with someone. So they're about, 8 to 12 minute episodes, of me just talking about things around fitness, mindset, helping you, get out of bed if that's what you need. So, you can find me there, or you can catch me at mike.fit. So that's where I run a lot of my online personal training, as well as if you need to get in contact with me for anything, you can get me there. So, I'll be clear, it's mike.fit. Everyone's like, mike.fit.com. I'm like, no, it's just mike.fit. But David, that's really about it.
Honestly, man, Mike, thank you so much. Hustle and Fit family. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I did. I think Mike has so much great information. You have to check out his Instagram. I've listened to his podcast. I think it's really good. I love the pictures, and it really shows you that you can have a really well-balanced life where you can get your fitness, you can make money, and really enjoy all aspects of it. So, Mike, thank you for coming out today. Thank you for providing all this great information. And as I said before, everybody, follow Mike and keep living an awesome life. See you guys later.
David. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, my pleasure.